Nayattu, the word Nayattu means the hunt.
The Hunt. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a perfect title as well.
Oh my God.
But
This was one.
it's a
Yeah.
it's a reflection of the times we are living in, isn't it? I mean,
It is.
see,
It
see,
is. It is.
usually you see films uh, uh, to escape from reality, right? Cinema is a medium to escape from reality. It takes you, transports you to a different world. Because it's all fantasy most of the time, and you want happy endings to feel better because you want to escape from your own reality. But here, when they are showing reality, it's the reflection of the times we are living in. It's the bitter truth.
Yeah. Perfectly said. I mean, that. I think this is the line of the podcast, probably. That this that this is the harsh reality, and it cannot be more apt. At the way you said it. And in times of today, definitely. I mean, there would be a certain section that would tend to disagree as well, which is fine. That is the part of democracy. We agree to disagree. And that is the thing that we may have forgotten currently. To agree to disagree. It's okay to not agree. It's okay to disagree and still agree that we are disagreeing. That is democracy. So,
And
uh,
the whole thing which happened in the film, what these three went through without even doing anything wrong. Sorry to say, but this is kind of similar to what's going on with this Aryan Khan case, because people are very ignorant when it comes to this kind of media circus. People want to enjoy this as a prime time entertainment, right? Without knowing the backstory. Now,
reality show.
I'm not saying Aryan Khan is completely innocent and he wouldn't have done drugs, but we don't know the backstory yet, and everybody's portraying him as a villain right now. And here in
The
Nayattu
media
as
trial.
well, yeah, in Nayattu as well, these three hadn't done anything wrong, right? And just because of
Yeah.
the circumstances they were stuck in, they were portrayed as the villain. Hello, welcome everyone to Cinema Hall, and today it's a very, very interesting podcast because this is one movie which we kind of missed back then when it came out, and actually, I hadn't really started this whole podcast thing back in April, I think, when this movie came. And this is one of the best movies, not just in Malayalam cinema, but in Indian cinema of the year, of even the decade, if I may jump the gun. It's Farad's favorite movie of the year so far, and right now the movie has got a little more relevance to talk about because there are rumors that it might be, just might be, India's nomination for Oscars as well, among a few more films that are being talked about. So we are talking about Nayattu. Now, this is a film which a lot of people really have wanted us to talk about. In the comment section, also, I get a lot of comments, and here we are finally. It's a surprise because we had no plans of doing this. Actually, we had to do trans, and then we were also accused of doing a little more Fahad Fasil movies. So we are like, okay, let's take a break from Fahad Fasil for a moment. Let's go to Nayatta because it also deserves a lot of spotlight right now. So, Farhad, first of all, Nayat, your favorite film. I'm sure you have seen it at least a couple of times, if not once, because the amount of love you had and the appreciation you have for this film, and I'm sure you yourself wrote the review for it as well on your website. So, first impression of Night and why do you love it so much?
So I had exactly written the same thing in my review. You can also leave it in the description link that it's one of my favorite films of the year, and language is not a barrier. And I remember watching it. It had earlier a theatrical release, but of course it was a little prior to the second wave. So the theaters had immediately closed down. It soon found its way on Netflix, where it is still there. And I remember it had premiered on a Sunday. I don't remember the date exactly, but it premiered on a Sunday on Netflix. And I happened to watch it through the day, and once it had finished, I mean, I remember, I mean, you remember I had messaged you on the WhatsApp group saying that, you should totally watch it, drop everything and watch it. So finally, we are doing a podcast of this film, and it is one film that, left me empty at the end of it, and it left me with a lot of anger as well. The way it had ended, the way it had shown the system, or the lack of it, you can say, that was really heart wrenching, gut wrenching, and it made me super angry, and it was again like all Malayalam films, it was a simple premise, but again, layered screenplay, that often that these terms you will often find on your podcast as well. So I mean, so I want to know, Keshav, what was your first reaction? I mean, because I have talked about my first reaction, I think multiple times on your previous podcast as well. So but what was your first reaction? Did it deserve that hype that I created?
It did, and I was actually late to the party because I didn't watch it back then. I think I watched it in August this year, and just a couple of months ago. It had been on my wish list for a very long time, and I finally got a chance to watch it, and I was like, oh my god, why hadn't seen it for so long? And it's a very fresh kind of a take on the way corruption is there in the police system all throughout the country. And I also loved the movie a little bit more because I've gone to Munnar. I've been to those places, and I could really,
Yeah, when I've been to Munnar, yeah.
yeah. So I felt kind of nostalgic when they showed all those scenic places, and I think it's a brilliant social commentary on the rot that has been going on in the Indian system for a very long time, and how they themselves become a victim of that. And when at the end of the day, even their own people turn against them. And I think performance wise, you cannot really argue at all because everyone did their job so very well. Nimisha, we have seen so many times doing. I think the choice of films also she makes. I mean, Malik and Joji. No, no, she was not. Sorry, Tondi Mudlam, Driksaksham, Malik, and now this. So I think she has come up the ladder
Great
of
Indian
success.
people.
Yes, absolutely. How can I forget that? So the choice of film she's making, she's really going up the ladder of success, and so good to see uh, Malayalam industry giving such chances to people who actually deserve it. I mean, you would not really see, or maybe now things have changed, but earlier there was this this kind of a tradition in Bollywood, if I may say so, that only the good looking actresses would get the lead roles, right? Or the fairer looking actresses will get the lead roles, and that's to some extent that's still the norm in Tamil industry, I would say, because they usually cast a lot of actresses from north. uh, just like for example, Rashi Khanna recently, if you saw Tughlaq Darbar, and if you remember Hansika Motwani, so all these female actors are poached from North India because of their fairer skin tone, right? I'm being very blunt, but this is not the norm in Malayalam industry, and they
No,
for them, talent is the foremost quality that they look for. So that way, I think huge respect for them. And Nimisha is such a gem of an actress. And same goes for the other two leads as well. So I thoroughly enjoyed the film, and this is probably the one of the rare occasions when I am getting to portray my own view on any film, because usually I'm being the host and prioritizing what people on the panel think about it. But yeah, I mean, definitely this is definitely an Oscar material. I'm not saying this should be the sole entry, but this is definitely one of the contenders. Would you agree to that?
yeah, definitely. I think Sardar is going to give it a run for its money. To be honest, I felt that was a little more palatable for the international audience, so to say. So I feel that might just about pip Nayat to the finish line, and it would be a fair victory as well. I have nothing. I loved Sardar Uddham as well, but this movie, coming back to this movie, I just feel that this could so easily have been just like a drama, but this was actually unfolding like a thriller.
Yeah,
I mean, after a point, after that initial build-up that was there, I'm assuming that everyone has watched it. After that incident that happens, you're just left gasping for breath. That are they going to get caught? What is going to happen? And some part of you is also rooting for them. To just get away. Just find a way out. And the various twists and turns that are there, especially in the second half. I mean, I some of that didn't see that coming.
mm,
And I won't reveal anything. Let's make that part a little spoiler free. I want people who haven't watched it to watch it. But and I felt that still towards the end there would be some redemption, but I was shocked by the bold ending that was there. I mean, they had compared that ending with a blind person voting. It compared to that, if you remember,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so that just showed like it was again like a mirror, that this is what is wrong, this
And,
is, and this is where we stand actually.
and
Yeah,
it was an open ending as well. I mean, you can
yeah, yeah,
interpret your own way. What would they have done with those two, right? Because you can't
yeah.
put a finger to a particular ending that okay they might have survived, or the system might have turned against them later on to save themselves. You never know.
Yeah, and it was probably more realistic, I mean, I was shocked by the ending. I, for one, was expecting like so to say a closure or a positive ending or both, but somehow, and this again, and that time again, if you remember it, because it had released in April, you're still getting that flavor of Malayalam cinema. I mean, how much highly regard we talk about it. We're just in our journey through that year. It was almost like Georgie was not yet out. Great Indian Kitchen was out. So we were just about discovering, the greatness of Malayalam cinema. You can say. So that point, you didn't know how it was going to end. At this point, I would say that yeah, Malayalam cinema really takes risks. At in which is why we did not like Brahmam as well. One of the reasons why, it was more traditional to the cinema that we are used to seeing, which we did not like.
One twist which really I was taken aback by I'm hoping that since most of our audience is Malayalam based, so I'm sure they would have seen the film. So even if we give away a couple of things, they won't mind, right? So I was really taken aback by the suicide that Manyan commits. So were you expecting that, or you were also surprised?
No, that came out of nowhere. It literally came out of nowhere. I thought that yeah, the party, they were getting cornered. And they would eventually get caught. This is what my interpretation was, say 10 minutes from that scene that had happened. But I did not see that coming at all. I mean, that was, and because it came as a lot more of a shock as well, because we'd invested so much time in that character as well. It was not a character that you would dislike as such. He was that character that was quite likable character, though initially there were a few, he was a part of the system, although he may not have agreed to that. You could make out with those innuendos that were there, but while on the journey you were with them, so you had invested your energy with that character, and to see him just end like that, it just came and out of nowhere without any build up. So this is again interesting thing, that they knew when to give a build up and when not to give a build up, and just to come out like a shock. So it was a very well crafted scene also, that I remember the way it was shot, considering the technical aspect, the camera had panned onto that wall, and behind that wall there was this figure that was hanging. Till it was going towards the wall, you were with those two characters of Nimisha and Bonchako. And once they did cross that, you along with them saw that thing that had happened. So that itself was very well picturized to cultivate that shock element which was there.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah,
No, no, and another thing which I really liked was a couple of them were from Dalit background, and you don't see a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
of Dalit representation in mainstream cinema in India in any language. So here, the fact that they did use it as an element again, I mean, tells you a thing or two about the openness with which these Kerala filmmakers are working, because you have to be fearless as well as a filmmaker to tell these kind of stories and use this kind of characters. I mean, Kurudi is another example where they were completely fearless, because I don't expect right now in this current scenario anyone in Bollywood making a film like Kurudi or even Nayattu for that matter.
No, nowhere close, nowhere close. And that's when you thought that this was the sole shock. But it is from that point that the film truly exponentially also increases. In terms of taking those chances right at the end. At that precise moment, I thought that now probably justice is going to be served through his death. That is the route that they are going to be taking. But it was such a harsh ending that was there,
But that's
right
the
at the end.
reality. That's the harsh reality.
It is the harsh reality, but that was equally shocking right at the end, when they are forced to, sign saying that, so and so thing had happened, and we take responsibility for it. Oh my God. I
And,
mean,
and that happened because of their own mistake, because they had already produced fake dead bodies just to calm down the media and everything. That was their own
correct.
mistake, and then they had to
Exactly.
recreate the whole suicide here in this building. So I mean, just to
So
cover
that
up
was a
their
cover
own
up.
yeah, yeah, that's just to cover up their own asses. I mean, they were this is I think the best way of putting it is hunters are getting hunted in this without even realizing what is going to happen.
True, true, true. And oof, and I was so angry. I was very angry after watching that ending in a good way. It was not as if I did not enjoy it or something, but it was a good way, of what just hit me, and
And
almost
it's even
reflective of that
it's even more painful because Manian was so you know
supportive,
no, that and his relationship with his daughter. I mean, he so wanted to see her
Oh,
succeed, and he was so regretful that I'm never with her when she needs me for that dance performances and all. And then even she couldn't go to that competition. She the every one of their families were also harassed. So that way you felt a little bit more remorseful for Manian, but I mean, it's
and also the media trials that were there, the media trials,
yeah,
poking their noses in the investigation that we see even nowadays, without naming anybody, but you would know if you were following the news. And coming back to the film, actually, I wanted to know your opinion on one more thing also. So this, you remember that chase sequence that was there a little before the halfway mark? I think that was probably one of the best chase sequences I've ever seen. So what is your take on that? I mean, what did you make of that? Because there was very little dialogue. The tension was created for me, and you really didn't know what was going to happen. Probably that twist did not come at that point, but it came later on. But the chase sequence was quite thrilling for me. What is your
yeah.
take on that?
I mean, not just that sequence, but once they commit that, not the crime, but once that accident happens, after that, I think the whole film is a chase, isn't it? I mean, uh, you
Yeah.
can call the rest of the film as a very extended chase sequence. So it was a cat and mouse kind of a thing, Tom and Jerry, and finally when they get caught, it all goes downhill from there, and that's where the ending becomes even more interesting, because you would just keep guessing what would have happened with them. Now, coming to performances, it's difficult to pick out just one of those three or even the supporting actors, but what did you make of these three guys?
I think they were fabulous. They were fabulous, and because they were well etched out as well, and also extremely well portrayed, I feel that your sentiments were, your loyalties were with those characters because of the way they've carried themselves. And I'm, as you said initially, also I'm also a fan of Nimisha now. I mean, she was just so perfect in this film. I mean, such a heartfelt performance, that shock value, that shock that you see on her face towards the end, or the helplessness that you see in that halfway mark in that chase that we are talking about.
Even in the
So
beginning,
beautiful.
like
Even in the beginning,
it all
yeah.
it all happens because of her own cousin. So in a way,
And
she
there was also a part of patriarchy that was shown, in that department itself.
yeah, and
She being the female.
somewhere she was
Yeah,
guilty also, because she felt that it's all happening because it's her own cousin who created all the havoc at the police station in the beginning. So
correct.
to put that expression on the face throughout the film, because if it weren't for her cousin, then this whole thing wouldn't have taken place.
Totally, totally. I mean, and even Bonchaco was excellent. I feel he's quite underrated as an actor. We don't speak about him in the same breath as, say, a Prithviraj or a Fahad. So
I saw him in Take
excellent.
Off. I think he did a really good job.
Yeah, he was in Takeoff. Yeah, he did an exceptional job. He was in Near also, a movie that not many people know of. It had Nayanthara as the female lead as well. It was a Malayalam film, also available on Amazon Prime. Decent watch, not very good, decent watch. But yeah, he's a good actor. I mean, his also emotions that were there at play were excellent, and even I think Biju, his name is right.
Mm,
The earlier,
which one?
um, the one who committed suicide. What is
Joju,
his name? Biju.
Joju George.
George. Yeah, George. So I've seen. So George. I had read about him some time back that he had started off as a background dancer or a junior artist or something, and from there to make it into one of the leads. And I think I one film that I watched about, that was his first film that I watched. George was Joseph, which is on Amazon Prime. I think it is exceptional film. So many genres combined into that one film. I think it's totally highly recommended from my end. So Keshav, I think you should watch that movie also, definitely,
I'll give
Joseph,
you a
on
trivia.
Amazon Prime.
I'll give you a trivia
Yeah.
about that. So Shahi Kabir is a civil police officer who wrote the screenplay for Joseph. He was working in this film as well, being a police officer himself. So his knowledge and experience that he brought to the table was very useful in this film as well. So he was a part of Joseph as well. I just remembered.
So I mean, again, so exceptional and very heartfelt performance. You really felt for that character right at the end. I mean, very emotional
And
moment.
you know, it's even more uh, mind-boggling, because in a way, after that accident happened, they had the basic human empathy to take that victim to the hospital. Even though they didn't
Yeah,
commit that murder, they took him there. And from there on, I mean, nobody saw the good side. Everybody just wanted to cover up their own bloody asses. So in that, these guys got caught. All in all, I think we should mention director Martin Prakat. He did such a
I
terrific
think he
job.
directed Charlie as well. Malayalam film Charlie, I think he's directed. Except it had Dulka Salman, by the way, and Parvati. Excellent film, and this is, I think, his second outing, or I think it is his second outing after Charlie, director.
Yeah.
So exceptional direction. I mean, one of the pieces to to study, if there are budding filmmakers out there, This is the one that you should study. The way he executes certain scenes, the framing that is there, or the tension that he creates. It is not much the editing that is here. Yeah, editing is also a part of it, but the way he executes it, that you have to study. This is excellent filmmaking.
Well, Nayattu, I think is it's so convincing, as the portrayal of the system we all are a part of, we are living in, and it's, I think, the mercilessness that they have showed, and this is something which in real life, the public is kept in dark of. We don't
Hmm.
really get to see these kind of situations, or we don't get to know the intricate details of the system in real life in any cases. But here, I think, the fact that they actually had a civil police officer on board to help them research for the film, I think that in itself is half the battle won, because he would have told them the actual story, from ground zero. So that way, I think, right from the pre-production, they were completely on target, and then executing it, and and that's why we are right now talking about its contention for possible Oscar nomination from India. So, and also, one of your other favorite films, Mandela, is also in the run. So if
Mandela is awesome there. Yeah,
so if you had to, like, pick one out of Mandela, Night, and Sardarudam, which one you
I
will be
think
inclined towards?
I think Sardar Udham that would honestly have a better chance because see in Oscars I feel that there are many other factors. The production house has to shell out a certain amount of money to promote their film. So if a small production house cannot afford that kind of budget, then I think it's a waste. Not to say that I don't know the producers of Nayattu, with all due respect, whether they can or not. But I feel that Sardar Udham probably has a more universal appeal. It is a story that is a part of our history as well, so it's easier to connect, and it has a certain imprint of India that I think the Oscar jury does look into as well. Mandela is a little niche. It They may not completely understand the political scenario because about the vote bank, and that probably may get lost in translation for someone who doesn't follow Indian politics or politics at a smaller granular level. Night 2 would be the dark horse. I wouldn't rule that out completely. Night 2 can definitely make it for me. Um, but if given a choice, it will be Sardar Udham for me.
But regardless of the fact, does Nayattu still remain your favorite film of the year, or is it Sardarudam? Has it replaced it now?
It's both of them, I feel now. Before it was only Nayattam by a mile. I think now it is both of them. It will be a hard choice to pick between either one of them. Both have their own individual spaces where they can coexist, I feel. So it's both of them for me. And I mean, I just want you to speak about the sound design. I mean, I'm not a musician, and you are a musician definitely, so you'll be able to talk about it. But for me, it was a pulsating sound. It was keeping the audience on toes. The BGM was fantastic. So what is your take on that, like? And I just want to also want you to add to this, saying that from a composer's point of view, in a scene, how would you build a scene? So you can just give the audience a little sneak peek into that.
I think, first of all, you have to be in sync with the director of the film, being the composer. Like, because at the end of the day, it's the director's vision, right? So you have to. Uh, he's the captain of the ship, so you have to sail the ship with his directions. And once you and the director are on the same page, then it's up to you what kind of soundscape you want for a particular film or the script. Like, before they go into shoot, before they go on the floors, once the script is narrated to you, or you have the synopsis in your mind, you automatically start getting a particular palette of sounds in your head. Okay, this is the world they want to create, and these are the characters, this is their background. So here I was very interested with another aspect, that every each of these three have a very layered backstory as well. Like, I mean, their backgrounds have been shown very vividly, uh, and everyone is economically and they're not that well off. So because of that reason, the background score will go a bit more raw and have those earthy tones to it rather than going a lot urban. Like and it also has to do with the fact the locations where they've shot the film, like they've gone to very inner locations into Kerala,
Yeah,
right?
interior.
So because of that, again, the local instruments will also come into the picture, the local flavor, and so yeah, I mean, it's up to the composer then how he uses these sounds to create the themes for particular characters, and how he uses them in the scene, how he will hype up the suspense in a few scenes, like, because this one, as you said, they built it up as a thriller. So in that, the soundscape played a huge role. So it's up to a composer. Sometimes a very wise decision to keep a scene silent also works as well, because there the foley and the ambience itself will do its job. You don't need to put on any musical instruments. So I mean, to each his own. This Although this guy has done a really good job, I'm forgetting who did this. But if I was there, I would have interpreted it in a different way. If somebody else, XYZ, was there, he would have interpreted it in a different way. But at the end of the day, everyone would have to be on the same page with the director. All right, well, people, why don't you guys write in the comment section what you felt about Nayattu? Sorry, we are doing this a few months late, but right now, since again Nayattu is the talk of the town because of the Oscar nominations. So, what do you feel? Do you think Nayattu should be in that category, or do you know any other Malayalam films which we missed? What you think probably should make the cut as well? And also, Sardar Udam, guys, please watch our podcast. We know that you don't really watch a lot of other stuff that we cover on the channel in other languages, but Sardar Udam is a film which you should definitely check out, regardless of the fact that you watch our podcast or not. That's not as important as the film itself, because uh, very rarely such good Hindi films come, and uh, we would never do any stuff just for the sake of it on this channel as well. So if we are doing a Hindi film, or any film for that matter, on the channel, if we are covering it, trust me, it's worth your time. So please do watch the film. Please do support us as well when we do podcast on the other languages. And thank you, Farhad, for your time. And hopefully, we'll be back with maybe a live stream next time to interact directly with our subscribers.
I just want to say one more thing. We've tried something new in this podcast as well of Night 2, that we've made it a little more interactive. Please let us know which one do you like more. Do you like the more interactive one, or do you like the one in which it's like Keshav asking questions and letting us know our viewpoint? Which one is your preference, you can say, so we
Or
can
we can
just
we can we can
design a podcast
we
accordingly.
can we can do another way as well. From next time, whatever podcast we are going to record, a day in advance, I'll put it in the community section, and we'll take a few questions from people based on that film, and we'll answer that in our recordings as well.
Yeah, yeah. Please leave your name as well, then we can name that person as well. Yeah, we can do that. That's a great idea.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Keep subscribing. The subscriber count has gone a little. The rate has gone a little low, but that's okay. As long as we have a loyal fan base, it's all fine. And the views have also gone down, but I understand. I mean, nothing new has come, so most of these films people have seen. But whomsoever is watching it, if you like the content, just press the like button. It won't cost you anything. It'll only help us with the algorithm of YouTube and reach more and more people if you think we deserve it. So thank you for again for watching, and we'll be back very soon in another podcast. Thank you. Good night. See you very soon. Have a good one.